Now the thing will come to authorization. If authentication pass, if authentication fail and you say deny them, it will never go to authorization. Keep in mind, authorization policy is a component of Cisco ISE network authorization services. Define authorization policy, configure which thing you want to provide them, which resources. Again, we will discuss authentication and authorization, but here authorization policy can contain conditions. Again, combine either single, either compound condition, either one condition. So you can create authorization which thing you want to give them. If a user or device authenticate, so the request will come to authorization. Again, it will hit like a employees. So I say if the user is from domain computer and the user is from employee group, authorize this employee. There is profile. You can assign them any profile, and you can provide them security group. And here you will see the hits again, and here you can see the action again. Duplicate, delete, above, below, and insert. And again, status is enable, disable. And this the rule name, but this time authorization rule name. And these are the condition, which condition, and these are the profile which you assign them. If a user is from domain, in this case, suppose I say that if a user is from Active Directory and a domain computer and is from employee equal, give them what? Give them authorization employees. I create this profile to give them this profile. It means full access. And again, there is a default rule which is deny access. You can change them as well if you want. And again, hits and all those things are coming here. So same status enable, disable, rule name, condition, result or profile, result or security group, result command or set. Command set is for the other one. If you go back to work center and device policy admin set. So here the thing will be a bit change. Here in authorization now there is a shell profile rather than the other thing. And here is a command set. So here and here there is a bit difference in authorization because this policy set is for network access and this policy set is for device access. So that's why here result command set and shell profile. But if I go to policy set here and click authorization here, so things are changed a bit. Result profile and security groups are here. So keep in mind these are two different things, but both are policy set. One is for network access, the other one is for device access. So again, action, NZ new and blah blah blah, those things are the similar. Then there are two policy. Authorization policy exception. If you check, there is authorization policy local exception and authorization policy global exception. These are by default in every set. These are exception. The name is also exception. Local exception. So first thing will be check local exception. If you create any rule here, it will be check first and it will be follow first. It's like a exception, VVIP person like a. And I think I mentioned here. Use authorization policy local exception to configure local authorization exception rule that are specific to the policy set. This rule will only be applied to this policy set. And which policy set? .1x policy set. And it will be checked first. It's like a exception case. And another one is global exception. You can use global exception to configure global authorization exception rule that are shared across all the policy set. So keep in mind there is a difference. Local exception only limited to that policy set. Right now we have two policy set. If I go back, one is .1x, let me enable them. One is .1x policy set and another one is default policy set. So if I create any rule here and this global exception, it will be follow in both policy set across both. In my case, if in your case is 1000 it will be check and 1000 it will be follow. But local exception has more preferences because it will be checked first within a set. Maybe I mention here. So within each policy set, you can define regular authorization policy and you can define local exception rule or global exception rule. Global authorization exception policy enable you to define rule that override all authorization rule, all of your policy set. It means it will override if you mention any policy here, authorization policy, it will override all. The local authorization exception rule override the global exception rule. Keep in mind this is the very important thing. If you create a local authorization policy, it will override the global, even though it's limited to the same policy set, but it will be checked first. Even something in the global, first it will check the local. If local is something there and global there is something there, so it will follow the local first. Global is some different thing. It check in overall all the policy set. That's the only thing. So it means the authorization rule or process in this order. First it will check local exception rule. Keep in mind which thing will be checked first? Local exception, then global exception rule, and then finally regular rule which we created. So these are the things which you need to know. So if I click here, so if you create any policy, these three authorization, if you allowed something here and you allowed something here but you deny them here, sorry, you deny them here, here is deny, and you allowed someone here, and my regular policy suppose allowed something, so which policy will be checked? This one. Within a set they say because this guy is deny, so it will be deny. Global will not say anything and regular policy also will say nothing, because local policy deny them, so it will be deny here and deny, it will be deny. You get my point? Now coming to global policy, if you deny here and allowed here the same thing, so deny will be follow because global has second preferences. Normally we are not using, leave it, but at least you get the idea, local exception and global exception. Most of the time we are using here regular, but that's just the thing which if you want in case. So these are regular and local exception and global exception which we talk about.